All right, welcome to another edition of Off Topic. My name is Randy Zelia, backsportspage.com. We put these staff interviews we've been doing under the Off Topic name. So I want everyone to forgive me for that if they want the one-on-one interview title to be different. But today we welcome in our guru with MMA, UFC. I think he's forgotten more about mixed martial arts and UFC than I'll ever know in my head. So that shows how knowledgeable he is. He is Ryan Truland. He heads up our UFC and MMA crew, which is growing. I just got him another 2 writers today, so which is pretty cool. So Ryan, good morning, brother.
Hey, good morning, Randy. How you doing?
I always like to ramble when I first get on the air and just go and then we usually go on to the conversation. So I apologize and appreciate you giving me some time this morning. And dude, listen, I use you as an example to all the new recruits we bring on here for Back Sports Page, because I say if there's ever someone you want to learn from with the DIY do-it-yourself mentality, it is definitely Ryan Truland. The guy came on, and when I say he's taking advantage of the platform, he's writing articles, he created his own podcast, he developed his own network. And now he just wants to go to watch people fight, and that's really and cover it, and that's all he really wants to do. Ryan, talk to me about your love for MMA and UFC, brother. Talk to me how this whole thing got started for you.
Yeah, so it all got started. I graduated from Keene University. Already like a year and a half ago, and didn't really know what to do. Graduated with a history degree actually, and but always had a love for sport, all sports. UFC, MMA, basketball, football, and always had a passion for writing. So it just combined the two, and reached out to you because I needed to find somebody to get my foot in the door, and you guys are the perfect. I mean, you guys reached out your hand, extended your hand to me, and brought me along for this journey. It's been really a great ride. And my love for MMA, stems from over a decade now, watching guys like I grew up 20 minutes from Frankie Edgar.
And we're working on that one for you right now.
Yeah. Yeah, John Jones, Anderson Silva, all those guys just made me love mixed martial arts, and here I am writing it, covering it, and yeah, the goal is to one day get to cover these live events and really go at it. Looking forward to it.
Did you ever get to see the series of matches between Tito Ortiz and Chuck Liddell?
The fight, you said?
Yeah, they had like a series of fights. They had like 4 or 5 different fights, right?
Yep. Yeah, back in the day, guys like them would just like have 3, 4 fights with each other over the course of their careers.
Well, isn't that how amazing on how the UFC has elevated? Like there was a time where it was only on pay-per-view, and like FX had the Ultimate Fighter, and like how the show on how the brand has branched out to the point it's now on ESPN. They still do pay-per-view, but they have almost, I think they have their own network now, right? Like they have enough content where if they don't have their own network, they can do that. It's a pretty crazy sport. It's a pretty crazy platform that they have.
Yeah, it's incredible, the growth. Especially even 2020, how much they grew during the pandemic year. I'd say they probably grew more than any of the other major sports during 2020, reaching a new fan base due to the fact that they were airing events when the other major sports were still in hiatus. That gained some eyeballs. They basically are the featured sport on ESPN Plus. And yeah, it's incredible. They just aired for the first time on ABC with Matt Holloway versus Calvin Kattar a couple weeks ago. So that's another huge landmark. But yeah, Dana White, the UFC president, just is about branding and expanding.
Working. Is it me though, or is UFC one of those spectacles where sometimes it's better off watching on TV than it is live? Because if you're spending X amount of dollars and you're sitting in the upper level, you're not really getting the same experience as you would if you were obviously sitting close. So I think that's with any sport. But I just feel like sometimes that maybe that the TV coverage is better than the live event.
Yeah, I would say so. I think it's definitely in everybody who is a fan of mixed martial arts' best interest to go to a UFC event at one point or another, especially a title fight. I mean, there's just a different atmosphere to when there's a belt on the line for everybody when fans are allowed back in. So I recommend people going to a UFC event, but I do agree with you that watching on TV, getting to hear guys like Daniel Cormier and the other analysts and break it all down, it's much better.
Now I get to ask you a tough question about UFC, and it was about a situation that happened about 5 years ago. And I wanted to, I never got to really talk about it, but I wanted to get your opinion on a guy who tried out with the UFC, and a lot of people felt that it was unfairly that he was getting opportunities when other fighters who are been dedicating their whole life to it were not getting opportunities in it. A guy like a CM Punk. CM Punk had an opportunity, and I'm favorable to this because I'm a wrestling fan and I love Punk's work in wrestling. Obviously, mixed martial arts is a totally different world. It's, you went from a working punch, what they call in wrestling, where someone's not, hitting you, but not really hitting you, to really getting hit in the UFC. What did you think of a guy like CM Punk who trained his butt off to try and make it there, but he was sort of taking away a spot of somebody who probably deserved it a little bit more?
Yeah, yeah. I think a lot of it had to do with the timing of when he did make his transition to MMA. If he had done that, say now, I think there's too much young talent who have been training their whole lives mixed martial arts that have really been great bursting onto the scene in the last couple of years. I mean, young talent is sprouting up everywhere, all over the world right now, even more than ever. And I feel like when CM Punk came in, I mean, UFC was still on that really upward trajectory, trying to be anyway, and he was a name that other fans that maybe don't watch MMA but they're WWE fans recognize that name. Other people recognize that name, so they gave him a shot to bring more eyeballs to the event, and it was a fair shot. I mean, he just couldn't cut it, and it is what it is. I don't think it was. I don't think he necessarily took away anybody's spot, but it was a trial run that more or less crash and burn, but
Do
trial
you
run nonetheless.
do you think he has one more fight on his UFC contract? Do you think Dana should cut him, or do you think keep him? Or if you're Dana, do you keep him under a contract so he doesn't try and go anywhere else and try and do anything? Not that he would go to Bellator or anything else like that, because I think that Punk realized what it was, and he doesn't really want to go anywhere else. But from what I understand, if he decided to go back to like wrestling, or if he wanted to try do something like Bellator, that UFC contract sort of has a lot of limitations on him.
Right. Yeah, I don't think he'll ever fight in the UFC again. And I think that I think if he did want to go, I don't think he'll go to like Bellator or anything like that. But if he did want to go back to, wrestling or whatever, I think Dana would lift that contract and let him go. He's usually, I mean, with guys, company guys, he's usually very, very cool about that.
Well, what was really funny was after his second fight, the first thing that Dana said when it was asked about it in the press conference goes, "Did Punk do media yet?" They're like, "No, he's in the hospital." He's like, "Oh, all right. Well, let me know when Punk does media." I always like Dana. Always will get you with those things. Listen, Conor McGregor went down last week. He took a bad loss. Um, One thing I could say about Conor was he's got a personality and he's sort of like a sideshow, which draws attention to him everywhere he goes. This was a big loss for him. Is this sort of like what it was for Ronda when Ronda sort of walked away into the sunset of
Uh,
MMA? Is this like the
no,
end of?
no, I don't think so. Ronda, with what happened with Ronda, she bursted onto the scene right as the women's divisions were building in the UFC. So she really, and credit to her, I mean, great fighter, but she took advantage of those. It was kind of a mismatch of a roster. Um, and she took advantage of those opponents. But as the roster the division started getting stronger, those people came in and just, as you saw, took advantage of her as she was trying to expand her career and her image into things like acting, stuff like that. These young, hungry, talented fighters came in and really, as you saw, knocked her out a couple times in a row. But with Conor, I think it's a completely different story. I think he did come into this Dustin Poirier rematch very motivated as really ever, to come back and really give this another go in the UFC, another 2 or 3 year quality run. And I think he got knocked out. It was total disbelief for him. I think you could see it on his face. He was in utter disbelief. But I think Conor, I think he still has it. I'm not even like a huge Conor fan. I do think that he still has what it takes to compete with like 5 in that division.
I honestly felt, just to go back to Ronda for 1 second, when she got knocked down, you might be too young for this. I think you are. I equate it to when Tyson lost to Buster Douglas. Nobody expected it. And it was like the big right hand heard round the world. Tyson went down, and Tyson was this unbeatable monster. And that's what I felt that Ronda was. I felt like and like you just said before, she was going into acting. She was going out and doing all these things, and it felt like it was just another Ronda Rousey fight. And then when she lost, you're sitting there going, "Oh crap, she lost!" It was like the shot heard round the world, and I think that loss deflated her and deflated her ego and took her to a point where it was a point of no return. She came back and had a return fight, and then she didn't even look like she was really interested in being there in that rematch. And but like Tyson growing up, Tyson would not, if Tyson went to a second round, third round, it was like a major thing. Ronda going into a second round of a fight was a big deal.
Yeah, if you're in probably more than any other sport, if you got 1 foot out the door, you better go all the way out the door or come back in, because if you're getting punched in the face by guys who know what they're doing, girls who know what they're doing, you're gonna hit the canvas pretty quick.
Well, the old
expression, I don't think that's the case for Conor.
Yeah, the old expression with Tyson, by the way, was everybody's game plan. Everyone has a game plan until you get punched in the face, and then that game plan goes out the window. So that's just the way it is. Real quick, are you I know you've been doing writing with us for a while with UFC, and I know we're working on possibly getting you a little bit more platform here to work with. You're speaking with Gary Aid about the cave radio project that we're involved with. Are you planning on reviving the Ear to Canvas podcast? For those who don't know, you can go to iTunes and you can go to Spotify and listen to past episodes that Ryan did. He's sort of taken a hiatus from it. But are you planning on going back to it?
You know what? I probably should, because really not virtual, but audio, video, it's the future. It's the present. As much as I love writing, I probably do have to get on them more. And I think it's in my best interest, and anybody who wants to listen to probably bring that back. Yeah.
What would you keep it the same type of format? Would you want to change the format around? I'm throwing you on the spot here while we're on the air, of course, but that's just what I do.
Oh yeah. It might be easier to do it on StreamYard, what we're doing here.
Yeah. Well,
because what I was doing, it was just audio, and I would probably want to do audio and video, and everything that you got going on here with StreamYard seems really. The speed seems good. There's no lag or anything. Audio, video quality is pretty good. So I think StreamYard would be the way to go.
And not only that, but we take the audio through StreamYard. We usually take the audio and sort of platform it out to everywhere where it goes on the iTunes and all those other places anyway. So, and you have, you're on YouTube, you're on Facebook, you're everywhere, and you're talking mixed martial arts. So there's a lot of great things. Final thing from me here. Do you think, and I'm going to ask you for a Super Bowl pick in a minute too, by the way, so I'll get that going in your head. But do you think mixed martial arts will be able to have and the UFC will be able to have that same appeal that a football and basketball and a baseball does? Or do you think it's going to have its own segregated offense? Can it have a casual fan base?
I think it's a lot harder because the UFC events, I mean, the prelims are sometimes just on regular cable, but then the main card most of the time will be on like ESPN Plus, which you have to have a subscription for. And I don't know how many casual fans are going to pay that, whatever it is, like $7 a month or whatever, just to watch UFC. I mean, maybe, but I think probably the UFC is going to be more of a, as it always has, more of a global attraction, and not so much. I mean, the US definitely has its core UFC fans, but I think as far as casual fans sitting down once a week to watch UFC, probably not. I think more so people come in, the casual fans will come in and watch like when Conor fights and when other guys like John Jones fights or something like that. But yeah, I think they'll have to try a different format to get like more fights on ABC, attract like the more fans like that, I think.
And last thing from me, give me a Super Bowl pick.
All right, I'm going. I'm a huge football fan, as you know, Eagles fan, but that's besides the point. I'm a big Andy Reid fan. I'm definitely rooting for the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are going to get it done.
Cool.
I do think it'll be a close game, but the Chiefs' defense is solid. I mean, who's their? I'm blanking on their defensive coordinator. Spags, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah. That's my boy.
Yeah.
That's my boy.
Yeah,
Spags.
No, he's doing a great job with that defense. The Tampa defense is flying around too, though. I think it'll be like something like 31-24 Chiefs.
Awesome. Well, I hope you're right. I have not decided yet. I will start worrying about the Super Bowl on Monday when we start coverage, and hopefully you'll be part of our Super Bowl coverage because we'll be covering the whole thing. So we have the access. We have the access, so you might as well jump in on that shark. So we'll do that too. All right. So Ryan Truland from Back Sports Page. Keep checking out backsportspage.com for all these one-on-one interviews with the staff, getting to know our staff and crew here. Ryan, thanks for very much. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, of course. And follow me wherever, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, at Ryan Truland. Follow my work on Bat Sports Page.
Wow, didn't even give me the opportunity. Didn't even give me the opportunity to say do the final plugs. But all right, cool, you got it out. All right, we'll be back later on today with some more great interviews here from Back Sports Page Audio Video Network.
Good talking to you.